Gideon watched uneasily as Rex, their usually calm and affectionate German shepherd, once again stationed himself beside baby Finn's crib. Evening had settled over their cozy suburban home, and the now familiar ritual was unfolding just as it had every night for the past 2 weeks. Rex stood stiff, ears alert, with a low growl vibrating in his chest. Gideon glanced at his wife, Serena, who stood silently in the nursery doorway, her expression mirroring his concern. "I just don't get it," Gideon murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. Rex had been with them for 5 years, adopted as a timid but sweet-natured rescue dog. He had quickly become a cherished member of their family, known for his gentle demeanor and his ability to charm even the shyest neighborhood children. When baby Finn had arrived 3 months ago, Rex had seamlessly stepped into the role of the doting protector. He would lie contentedly near the crib during nap times, wagging his tail whenever Finn cooed or stirred. But something had changed. 2 weeks ago, Rex's behavior shifted inexplicably. Every evening, he would assume his post beside the crib, growling softly but steadily, his eyes locked on the same corner of the room. Gideon had thoroughly checked the nursery countless times. The windows were secure, the screens were intact, and there was no sign of pests or intruders. Yet, the behavior persisted. Serena had suggested a visit to the vet, suspecting that perhaps Rex was in pain or stressed. The veterinarian, however, found nothing out of the ordinary. Rex was in excellent health for a dog his age. Sometimes dogs pick up on environmental changes we can't perceive, the vet had explained. It could be a sound or a scent that's setting him off. Gideon spent hours observing Rex, trying to decipher his intent. The growling wasn't hostile, it was more of a warning. Rex wasn't agitated with Finn. If anything, he seemed to be guarding the baby, positioning himself protectively between the crib and whatever might be lurking in that corner. "Maybe we should have the house inspected," Serena suggested one night, her voice tinged with worry. "Remember last fall when he wouldn't stop pawing at the kitchen wall? That leak would have gone unnoticed if it weren't for him." Gideon nodded. Serena had a point. Rex's instincts had proven reliable before. The next morning, while changing Finn's diaper, Gideon noticed something peculiar. A faint draft brushed against his arm near the corner of the room that so captivated Rex's attention. It was almost imperceptible, but he saw the mobile above the crib stir ever so slightly. Could this be what was unsettling their dog? That night, Gideon watched Rex resume his watchful vigil by the crib, his unwavering gaze fixed on that corner. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Gideon decided to call a home inspector first thing in the morning. Something wasn't right, and if Rex was trying to warn them, Gideon would listen. He knelt down and scratched behind Rex's ears. "Good boy," he whispered, his voice filled with gratitude. The dog's tail wagged briefly in acknowledgement, though his focus never shifted. Gideon felt a sense of comfort knowing that Rex was standing guard, keeping their son safe from whatever unseen force might be present. The following morning, Gideon made the call. The earliest appointment available was 3 days away, a wait that felt excruciating given the circumstances. Serena suggested moving Finn's crib to their bedroom in the meantime, but Gideon hesitated. That might solve the immediate issue, but it wouldn't address the root cause of Rex's unease. Throughout the day, Gideon began to notice a peculiar rhythm to Rex's behavior, subtle patterns he hadn't picked up on before. Rex would grow quiet during the day, his usual calm self. But as the evening crept closer, his demeanor would shift. His ears perked up, his body tensed, and he would position himself near the crib as though on high alert. Gideon couldn't shake the feeling that Rex was responding to something beyond their understanding. This wasn't random. There was a purpose to his vigilance. Whatever it was, Gideon was determined to find out. During the calm morning hours, Rex would rest peacefully in the nursery, often basking in the warm sunlight streaming through the window. However, as the afternoon crept closer, his behavior would start to change. By 4 p.m., he was pacing anxiously between the nursery door and a particular corner, his tension rising as evening approached. That day, Gideon, working from home, had set up his workspace at a small desk near the nursery. He diligently took notes on Rex's peculiar behavior, trying to pinpoint its cause. The draft Gideon had noticed earlier seemed more pronounced during certain times, especially when the sun heated the outer wall. Considering the home's age, Gideon theorized that structural quirks might be exacerbated by fluctuating temperatures. Serena arrived home from her teaching job at her usual time, carrying a notebook filled with questions for the home inspector. She shared insights from a conversation with their neighbor Isadora, who had lived next door for over 40 years. Isadora mentioned that during the last big storm she noticed water stains on the wall backing up to Finn's nursery. Serena relayed with concern. That evening, as Rex resumed his protective position by Finn's crib, Gideon brought in a stepladder and flashlight to investigate the corner further. Rex watched intently, his body still but his focus unwavering. Gideon's closer inspection revealed hairline cracks in the ceiling paint, forming a web-like pattern emanating from the corner. Pressing his hand to the wall, he noticed a faint vibration, subtle but undeniable. Meanwhile, Finn slept soundly, his tiny breaths steady and undisturbed. The mobile above his crib turned lazily in the draft, casting shifting shadows on the walls. Gideon noted how Rex's eyes tracked those shadows, though his attention always returned to the corner, his growls growing deeper when the vibrations intensified. Serena spent the evening quietly researching possible causes on her tablet, her voice low as she shared her findings. "It could be a loose pipe, or just the house settling," she murmured. "But why does Rex only react in the evening? Something's different when the temperature drops." Determined to understand, they decided to take turns staying up that night to observe. During Gideon's midnight watch, he noticed the draft had strengthened, accompanied by a faint sound, neither a whistle nor a hum, but a soft, rushing noise emanating from within the wall. Rex, his ears twitching, maintained his steady growl. Concerned, Gideon picked up Finn and cradled him as he walked the room's perimeter. Rex followed closely, positioning himself between them and the wall. His behavior was not aggressive but protective, as if he sensed a hidden threat and refused to leave his family vulnerable. After settling Finn back in his crib, Gideon felt a wave of gratitude for Rex's unwavering vigilance. Dogs, with their sharp instincts, often perceived things humans could not. Whatever was behind that wall, Rex seemed determined to warn them before it became a real danger. The home inspector's visit, scheduled for Thursday, suddenly felt all the more urgent. That night, as Gideon finally lay down to rest, leaving Rex at his self-appointed guard post, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of uncovering something significant. Whatever it was, he found solace in Rex's loyalty and protective instincts. Sometimes, it took the heightened awareness of a dog to reveal what human senses might overlook. The inspector arrived early Thursday morning, his experienced eyes noting Rex's alert stance as he entered the nursery. "Dogs can be better than any tools we use," he remarked, setting down his equipment. "They can detect things inside walls, like water flow or stressed wood, that our instruments might miss." As Serena held Finn close, Gideon explained Rex's behavior in detail. The inspector listened intently and began his assessment, methodically measuring the walls and checking the floor for irregularities. When he reached the corner that troubled Rex, his level indicated a slight but unmistakable tilt, confirming that the area deserved a much closer look. The inspector ran his hand along the wall thoughtfully, his brow furrowed in concentration. He reached for a moisture meter and guided it across the surface. The device's readings spiked sharply near the spot where Rex had been fixated. "This area has elevated moisture levels," he confirmed, his voice firm. "Take a look at this," he added, directing his flashlight toward the baseboards. A faint, dark line became visible, a troubling sign of water infiltration. Rex, ever watchful, stayed close throughout the inspection, his gaze glued to the corner. When the inspector tapped the wall lightly, the dog's ears perked up, and a soft whimper escaped him. It wasn't his usual growl. This sound carried an urgency, almost as if he was relieved that someone had finally acknowledged what he'd been trying to warn them about. The inspection continued, uncovering even more concerning signs. The brick exterior showed evidence of water damage, likely the result of a malfunctioning gutter. Instead of draining away, rainwater had been seeping into the wall cavity during heavy storms. The faint vibrations Gideon had occasionally felt were caused by water moving through the damaged materials. "This wet spring has made the issue much worse," the inspector explained. "During the day, the sun heats the wall, causing the moisture inside to evaporate. At night, it cools and condenses, dripping back down. That's probably what your dog's been hearing." Serena pulled Finn closer to her, a mix of relief and worry etched on her face. While it was comforting to have an explanation, the extent of the damage was unsettling. The inspector meticulously documented everything, snapping photos and jotting down notes. He found that the moisture problem extended into the crawl space, where it had already begun to weaken the structural supports. "Another few months of this and you could have faced major structural issues," he said gravely. "The damage would have spread, compromising the entire corner of the house. Your dog might have saved you from something catastrophic." Gideon knelt down, gently patting Rex, who seemed to relax now that his concerns were being addressed. The inspector strongly recommended immediate repairs, assuring them that with swift action, the damage could be fully remedied. He handed them a detailed report along with referrals to trusted contractors who could tackle both the water issues and the structural repairs. That night, while waiting for contractor estimates, Gideon and Serena moved Finn's crib into their bedroom as a precaution. Rex, ever vigilant, stationed himself near the crib but seemed calmer, as if he understood that the problem was finally being resolved. Gideon watched him settle, his heart filled with gratitude for the dog's unwavering loyalty. Weeks before anyone else noticed, Rex had sensed the danger, his protective instincts keeping the family safe. As Serena rocked Finn to sleep, she glanced at Rex. "We should get him something special," she suggested with a smile. "He worked so hard to protect us, and we finally listened." Gideon nodded, thinking about how often dogs have protected humans in ways that defy understanding. When the contractors began their work, the true extent of the damage was revealed, sending a chill through Gideon. Inside the wall, the wooden support beam had deteriorated significantly, and sections of the cavity were riddled with mold. The contractor explained that the vibrations Rex had been reacting to were likely caused by the weakened beam shifting under the house's weight. "Your dog wasn't just alerting you to water," the contractor said, shaking his head in amazement. "That beam could have failed without warning. These older homes sometimes keep their problems hidden until it's almost too late." Gideon watched the crew document the damage, reflecting on all the nights Rex had stood guard. Serena, taking time off from teaching, oversaw the repairs while Gideon managed his work. The discovery reinforced just how close they'd come to a disaster and how lucky they were to have Rex, ever watchful, ever loyal, by their side. Rex's behavior had shifted noticeably as the renovation work advanced. Gone were his evenings of restless growling. Instead, he now followed the contractors with sharp attention, tail wagging faintly as they removed damaged materials and replaced them with new ones. The workers quickly grew fond of their furry supervisor, marveling at how he seemed to know exactly when they were addressing the problem area that had plagued the house. Even the local veterinarian, who had initially examined Rex out of concern, stopped by to observe his peculiar vigilance. She explained that dogs possess extraordinary senses, detecting vibrations and frequencies imperceptible to humans. "He's not just reacting to water dripping or wood creaking," she said. "Rex is likely sensing the structural instability itself. Dogs are incredibly attuned to their surroundings, far more than we give them credit for." As the repairs progressed, Gideon and Serena learned that their home wasn't the only one affected. Several neighbors, prompted by their story, had inspections conducted. Isadora, who lived next door, discovered early signs of water damage in her own walls. A contractor explained that unusual weather patterns in the area had caused widespread issues. One evening, as Gideon stood in the nursery, the soft glow of the setting sun filtering through the temporary plastic sheeting, he noticed something remarkable. Rex, who had been on high alert for weeks, was now sprawled on his bed, calm and at ease as the workers packed up their tools. It was a clear sign. The danger was passing. Rex seemed to sense the shift even before the humans fully grasped it. The repairs took 2 weeks to finish, during which time Finn continued sleeping in his parents' room. Rex adapted to the new arrangement, but still performed nightly patrols of the nursery, watching the contractor's progress, with what could only be described as approval. The workers began calling him their quality control inspector, a title he carried with quiet pride. Gideon couldn't resist sharing the story with other parents at the park. As Rex played gently with Finn on their picnic blanket, Gideon would say, "Animals sense things we can't. Sometimes what looks like odd behavior is their way of warning us about something important." The local veterinary clinic even invited Gideon to share the tale at a pet owner's workshop. Serena created a slideshow with photos of the wall damage and Rex's diligent behavior, offering families a powerful reminder to take their pets' warnings seriously. As the final touches on the house were completed, Gideon often reflected on how close they had come to disaster. Without Rex's persistence, they might have dismissed the warning signs entirely. The contractors assured them the new support beams, waterproofing, and upgraded gutters would prevent future problems. During the process, Rex received a steady stream of praise and treats, though his true satisfaction seemed to come from simply watching over Finn during their daily routines. The day finally arrived to move Finn's crib back into the nursery. The room looked as good as new, walls freshly painted a warm, buttery yellow, window frames resealed, and new baseboards seamlessly installed. Rex padded in alongside Gideon and Serena, inspecting every inch of the room with his nose to the floor. He lingered briefly in the corner that had troubled him for weeks, then flopped onto his favorite spot by the window, his eyes heavy with contentment. For Gideon and Serena, that moment was the ultimate reassurance. Rex's calm demeanor was the final seal of approval. The nursery was safe once more, thanks to their vigilant companion. That evening, as they gently placed Finn into his crib for the first time in what felt like ages, the difference was striking. The room, once plagued by an unsettling draft, now felt warm and secure. The baby mobile hung motionless, undisturbed by any errant breeze. Rex, ever faithful, settled into his familiar spot near the crib. Yet, instead of his usual stance, alert and growling, he seemed relaxed, occasionally lifting his head to check on Finn before sinking back into a peaceful slumber. Their story had even made it into the local newspaper, tucked away in the home and lifestyle section. The article highlighted the importance of home maintenance and the unique role pets can play in detecting hidden issues. They framed a photo of Rex from the piece and hung it on the nursery wall, a constant reminder of his vigilance. Inspired by their experience, the contractor began asking clients if their pets had exhibited strange behavior in specific areas of their homes, acknowledging how animals often sense things long before humans do. As spring turned into summer, the family embraced a new, settled rhythm. Rex's protective instincts endured but manifested in softer ways. He would stand between Finn and unfamiliar delivery workers at the door or give a sharp bark to let them know when Finn stirred from his naps. His nighttime growling was a thing of the past, though he maintained a habit of patrolling the house, especially after heavy rains. As Finn became more active, crawling, pulling himself upright and exploring the world, Rex adjusted with unwavering patience. He moved carefully around the baby, always mindful of where Finn was, often positioning himself to cushion any potential falls. The bond between them grew deeper each day. Finn frequently reached out to steady himself on Rex's thick fur as he practiced standing, his tiny fingers clutching the loyal dog's coat. Serena captured countless snapshots of these tender moments, the photos filling the walls and frames of their home. Gideon, meanwhile, found himself marveling at the ways animals communicate. He began to recognize the subtle differences in Rex's vocalizations, the sharp bark reserved for delivery workers, the gentler one for their mail carrier, and the soft, almost pleading whine that meant Finn needed attention. Word of their story spread through the neighborhood, encouraging other families to inspect their homes for hidden issues. Isadora, their elderly neighbor, often stopped by with dog treats, regaling visitors with Rex's heroics. She never failed to mention how his instincts had not only safeguarded his family, but also spurred others to take preventive measures that could save lives. As autumn arrived, the family decided to celebrate Rex's birthday with a special dinner. Serena prepared his favorite treat, a bowl of tender cooked chicken and carrots, while Gideon set up a brand new bed for him in the nursery. Finn, now sturdier on his feet, toddled over to pat Rex's head, giggling out his first attempt at saying, "dog." Rex endured the baby's clumsy affection with quiet grace, his eyes shining with love and devotion. That evening, as Gideon performed his usual nighttime check, he paused at the nursery doorway. Rex lay on his new bed, positioned perfectly to keep an eye on both Finn's crib and the once troublesome corner of the room. The dog's quiet presence radiated a sense of calm, a marked change from the anxious warnings of months past. Gideon thought back to those uncertain nights when they had struggled to interpret Rex's behavior. A wave of gratitude washed over him as he looked at their devoted companion. The repaired nursery stood as a testament not only to their family's resilience, but also to the extraordinary bond between humans and their animal companions. Rex had protected them in ways they never could have imagined, proving that sometimes the most profound messages aren't spoken, but conveyed through steadfast loyalty and unyielding dedication. As Gideon switched off the light, Rex let out a deep, contented sigh, settling into his watch for the night. In the comforting darkness of the nursery, it was clear all was right in his world, and his family was safe. As we wrap up this story, I can't help but feel deeply moved by the bond between Rex and his family. It's a story that reminds us of the quiet heroes in our lives, those who often go unnoticed, yet their actions carry profound impact. Rex wasn't just a dog. He was a protector, a guardian, and above all, a loyal friend. His unwavering dedication to keeping baby Daniel safe wasn't something taught or trained. It came from pure instinct and love. This tale isn't just about a house with structural problems or a family solving a mystery. It's about listening, truly listening, not just with our ears, but with our hearts. Sometimes the most important messages don't come in words. They come in the form of quiet vigilance, persistent actions, and unconditional loyalty. Rex's behavior was his way of speaking, and when his family finally understood, they realized how much he had done for them. What stands out to me most is how this family's story rippled out into the community, inspiring others to take notice of their own homes and pets. It's amazing how one small act of attention can spark a chain reaction of care and awareness. So, what about you? Have you ever experienced something like this? A pet, a friend, or even a stranger showing you something you didn't see at first? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's celebrate those quiet protectors who've made a difference in our lives. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a reminder of the incredible bond between humans and animals. Until next time, take care and give your furry friends an extra hug tonight.